Good morning. This webinar offers closed captioning. To enable closed captioning, click on the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen and choose your preferred method. Welcome to the City of Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection webinar. Please note any website or email that I mention will be posted in the chat box. For those seeking business licensing assistance, you can visit the Small Business Center at City Hall or call 312-74-GO-BIZ. Also, business licenses can be applied for or renewed online at chicagobusinessdirect.org. If you are part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. If you want to learn about the program, please visit chicago.gov/businesseducation. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be available at youtube.com/ChicagoBACP. I will post the mentioned information in the chat box. We encourage attendees to ask questions. Please use the chat box to send your questions. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please note that the views, information, and opinions expressed during this webinar are solely those of the presenter and do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection or the City of Chicago. Today's webinar will be Where to Go When the Bank Says No. Andrew?
Great. Thank you very much, Geraldine. My name is Andrew Fogaty. I'm with the 36 Squared Business Incubator. We're a nonprofit economic development organization. So we help people start or grow their businesses at no charge. We're allowed to do that at no charge thanks to our sponsors, CIBC. We're very happy to have them sponsor us. We're also part of the Illinois Small Business Development Center Network, which is funded by the Illinois Department of Commerce and the SBA. And most importantly, we're part of the BACP Neighborhood Business Development Center program, the NBDCs. So we are part of a wide group of organizations that are available to help you here in Chicago and Illinois start or grow your businesses. Today, I'm being joined by Gabriela Bonbon with the Women's Business Development Center and Yesenia Diaz de Leon with Allies for Community Business. I've known both of them for quite a while now, and they're expert in their field, so I think we'll get a lot of good information. Again, the title today is Where to Go When the Bank Says No. So really, we're talking about funding your business. The first thing is if you're tuning into this webinar, and you've got an idea in your head or you have a business and you need to expand, you don't have to do this on your own and you don't have to pay for help. As I just mentioned, the City of Chicago has neighborhood business development centers all across the city, NBDCs. The state of Illinois has small business development centers all across the state. Cook County has a small business source program, which will refer you to local experts to help you with your business. And all of this is at no charge. So I really want to encourage you to make contact with these centers. If it's just to talk about an idea, or if you need some really concrete referrals, some concrete advice, how to write a business plan, all of these centers are there to assist you at no charge. If you have a product or service that you need to get overseas, you're making marmalade, they want your marmalade in Australia, what are the labeling requirements there? Illinois has the International Trade Center program, ITCs. They focus on exports from Illinois. So once again, you don't have to research this stuff by yourself. There's experts there to help you. If you're looking for government contracts, Illinois Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, PTACs, there's a number of them in Chicago and across the state. Again, talk to them. They'll walk you through the process of how to sign up with what's known as SAM, which is the federal government system for awarding contracts. And there can be a lot of paperwork with getting government contracts, but once you get them, they tend to last for a very long time. Fortunately, maybe not fortunately for the taxpayers, but fortunately for the businesses, the government is not always looking for a better deal and is not always clipping coupons. So if you're looking for government contracts, I do recommend you contact your local PTAC. The City of Chicago also has a Leary program. LIRI stands for Local Industrial Retention Initiative. So if you're a manufacturer in Chicago, get to know your LIRI guy. Again, it's at no charge. He can be your liaison with City Hall. So when you've got questions about new programs or zoning, if you think an inspector is leaning on you unfairly, it's good to have the LIRI guy on your side. There's a number of neighborhood chamber of commerces, and if you're outside of Chicago, there's chambers pretty much everywhere. Contact them. Usually they have a good idea of what's going on with businesses in their area and can connect you with some good resources and assistance. Finally, wherever you are in the state, your local municipality, even if it's a small business, probably has somebody in charge of economic development. Touch base with that guy. Let him know what you're doing, especially if you're creating jobs, if you're improving a piece of property in their area. They could very well have a program or service that might assist you. The SBA, Small Business Administration, federally, sba.gov, they have a lot of programs to help out small businesses. They fund what I do and a number of my colleagues do. And they also have some good resources on their website, sba.gov. So I recommend that. And lastly, SCORE is another nonprofit where you can reach out and get free assistance, mentorship from somebody. Typically with SCORE, it's somebody who has some experience in the industry. So as you're looking to grow your business, I highly recommend that you connect with some of these free resources to assist you. So first, I just want to touch briefly on SBA loans, because SBA loans are actually bank loans. Unless there's a disaster, for example, the pandemic, the SBA doesn't generally lend money itself. What they do is guarantee bank loans. So there's just briefly a couple of the major loan types are the SBA 7A loan. This is for short and long-term working capital, refinance current business debt, purchase furniture, fixtures, and supplies. The maximum loan amount, I believe it currently is $5 million. And of course, there's eligibility factors. To get an SBA loan, you want to contact your bank or some of the community development corporations, CDCs. Another one of the most common loans that the SBA does is a 504 loan. It's long-term fixed rate financing, usually to acquire fixed assets. And typically what this will do is the SBA is going to guarantee a portion of the loan, which will make it more attractive for the bank to approve you. So how do you get an SBA loan? You don't go to the SBA, you talk to your lender. And as far as finding a lender, again, I would talk to your neighborhood business development center or your SBDC. Talk to your local bank also. You don't need to just choose one. And you should also not worry about having to choose what SBA product, what type of loan you need. Talk to your lenders, your nonprofit lenders, and find out what they recommend. Oftentimes with commercial banks, they may have some non-SBA loan products that might make more sense to you. So both the lender and the nonprofit advisors like myself and my colleagues here today, we want to get you into the best loan possible. So it's good to have these resources on hand. Now, if you have been turned down by the bank, and this is especially true is if you're feeling good about your bank application, you've got your business plan, the commercial bank you've talked to, everybody is feeling pretty good about it, but you just haven't quite made it past the underwriters. They're not gonna approve it. Every once in a while, bank lending tightens up. It just has recently because of the bank programs and problems in Silicon Valley. So what do? You've got your business, you need the funding, but they've tightened up a little bit and you cannot get that bank loan. Well, there's a program that the state of Illinois has called Advantage Illinois. They've just been injected with new funds. So there's quite a bit of money available now through Advantage Illinois. And they have two different types of programs. The participation loan program. This is where the state is going to purchase a portion of the loan from the lender, and this is going to lower the risk for the lender. It's also at a low rate, generally, for the financing. Then there's the loan guarantee program, LGP. So the state is going to guarantee the loan of the lender. So this is if, once again, if you've been to the bank and they're turning you down, then you want to suggest the Advantage Illinois program, or you want to find a banker, and there's a number of them that are already currently working with the Advantage Illinois program. Eligibility for the business is you need to operate in the state of Illinois. You need to be in good standing with the Illinois Secretary of State, clear of any back taxes, have less than 750 employees, and no bankruptcies or material adverse judgments or liens during the past 5 years. Eligible uses would be real estate, must be 51% or more occupied by your business, inventory, working capital, equipment, leasehold improvements, and accounts receivable. And so to apply for this, again, you want to discuss this with your lender or your local SBDC, which is the state-funded Small Business Development Center office. They should be able to, generally speaking, you personally won't be talking to the people at the state about Advantage Illinois. What we would be doing in the SBDC, or what your lender will be doing, is contacting the state, sending them the information they have on you, and trying to get approval to make this loan happen for you. It is a good program, and if you're in that situation, then I certainly recommend it. But what if you're in this situation where you've just got an idea, or you're a startup? Now you need a little bit of funding, and actually most banks don't fund most startups. A lot of them don't fund really any startups. And if you're Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, all banks will be happy to fund your startup. But when I started years ago, I started a small business, and my business was more the type of, buy diapers, pay the rent type of startup, and no bank would touch me. However, there are a lot of other good options. The first thing I'm going to recommend you that you do is go to the SBA website and download a startup cost worksheet. It's a pre-filled PDF. It's pre-filled with all the costs for starting an imaginary pizza restaurant. But you can go in and fill in your own costs. And what this sheet is going to do is make you think about exactly how much you're going to need to start your business. How much is the security deposit? How much is the rent going to be? Your fixtures, your food, your advertising, the insurance and licensing. So it helps you get down to the nitty gritty. So when you talk to a lender, you're not just off the top of your head saying, I want to start a coffee shop. I think I need about $30,000. Put in this little bit of work so you have a good firm idea of how much money you're going to need to get rolling. After you do that, I recommend that you talk to one of my colleagues that I have here today, which would be Gabriella Bonbon from the Women's Business Development Center, or Yesenia Diaz de Leon from Allies for Community Business. If you may not be talking to them personally, but you certainly want to get in touch with them about their programs. And that being said, Gabriella, can I turn it over to you now?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, Andrew. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Hello, everyone. Good morning. We're excited to be with everyone today. Thank you so much, Andrew, and Chicago VACP for inviting us to be on the panel today. My name is Gabriella Bombin, and I am an Associate Director on the Access to Capital team at the Women's Business Development Center. I'll begin with a bit of an overview of our organization and the services that we provide. So the Women's Business Development Center is a 501c3 nationally recognized leader in the field of economic development. Our organization has provided programs and services at no cost to support and accelerate business ownership and strengthen the impact of businesses on the economy by creating jobs, fueling economic growth, and building strong communities. You'll see here in this animation, a bit of a mantra is "Let us move you forward" speaks to helping your business grow. And although women is one of our focuses, we do serve everyone, right? We assist and advise businesses, again, at no cost and at any stage. So if you're pre-venture, startup, emerging, established, or mature, any stage of the business, we can assist you. Our services are centered around the coaching and curriculum we provide, educational cohorts, business plan guidance, digital learning, government contracting, technical assistance, certification, international trade as well, and capital, the funding. With over a 30-year history and presence, the WBDC envisions a diverse world where all business owners can have that opportunity. And we serve a 9-state region in the Midwest, with our headquarters in Chicago, plus satellite offices in Little Village, Richmond Park, and Aurora. Now, the Access to Capital team is one of the 3 pillars that helps the organization deliver its mission. So today, I will review 2 of our in-house alternative loan options and products for businesses. To start, we'll begin with Kiva. Kiva is a 0% interest microloan program. They offer loans ranging in size from $1,000 to $15,000, 0% interest, and the term is anywhere from 12 to 36 months. Kiva functions as an online crowdfunding or crowd lending platform. And crowdfunding is simply defined as everyday individuals pooling small lending contributions, helping that business become fully funded based on the loan amount that the business is fundraising for. The crowd is made up of the business owner's personal network of supporters, as well as Kiva's lending community, which is made up of people across the US, across the globe, 2 million Kiva lenders that are impact-driven and ready to contribute and support businesses. And since 2005, over 2.6 million entrepreneurs around the world have borrowed $1 billion through the Kiva website. And we became a hub in 2021 and have helped over 40 businesses and entrepreneurs become fully funded. It's about leveraging the power of crowd, and it's really community-based lending, expanding that capital access, an alternative option that's out there for businesses in terms of the lending landscape. And what can you do with a Kiva microloan? So perhaps you're looking to upgrade or purchase equipment, renovate your physical space, maybe gain some working capital or add some inventory, perhaps hiring employees or another set of hands, maybe purchasing different pieces of licensing or certification, or building out a website and investing in your marketing. Kiva does not require collateral, and there isn't a minimum credit score either. A little bit of the loan process for Kiva step by step. And as the capital access manager for our hub, I help you through this process. So even before we submit an application, I work with you one-on-one to really get a sense of what your capital goals are and see if Kiva is the right source of capital for your business. And then from there, we do a bit of onset preparation before submitting the application. On the application itself, you'll answer some financial questions about you and your business. You'll also upload documentation. Kiva accepts multiple forms of business proof. And this is also where you put together your profile or fundraising page when you reach that crowdfunding stage, which includes a photo of you and your business, your personal story, business story, and purpose of the funds. Once it's submitted, we send it to Kiva Review. They have their separate Kiva Review team. It takes about 1 to 3 weeks for them to actually determine the final loan size that the business would be approved for and what your business would qualify for. They'll look at different social and financial inputs when determining that final loan size. They'll conduct a soft pull of your credit score. They'll look at your documentation and other elements of your application to determine that final loan amount the business would qualify for. And from there, from that approval, you'll step into fundraising. This takes about 45 days for your crowdfunding stage. The first 15 days is called your private fundraising period. This is where you demonstrate something called your social capital by inviting friends, family, people from your personal network of supporters to lend to your campaign as little as $5. They've actually decreased it from $25 to $5. That's the minimum loan amount that someone can lend. And Kiva will provide a specific number of individuals you'll need to invite within the first 15 days. So that's your goal. Perhaps it was a $7,000 loan amount that the business was approved for, and Kiva requires you to invite 5 people in the first 15 days. That's your goal. If all those 5 separate individuals lent just $5 each within the first 15 days, you can move forward automatically into public fundraising, where you have an additional 30 days to fundraise the rest of the loan. And now your campaign and profile page is public and visible on Kiva's platform and website, visible to that Kiva lending community of 2 million individuals. And it's a 95 to 90% chance of becoming fully funded. So the success rate is very high. And then the final stage in all of this is repayment, right? So with Kiva, it is a loan. It's not a grant or donation. So you have a repayment period. Again, the term is anywhere from 12 to 36 months. And it's a monthly repayment calculated by taking the loan size, dividing it by the number of months in the loan term, and that's what you repay every month. Now, by the end of becoming fully funded through this structure, you have this crowd of lenders from private, from public fundraising that help your business fully fund that loan amount. So every time you make a monthly repayment, Kiva takes that and distributes that back to your lenders, to your crowd, so that they can recycle that $5 or $25 or $50 loan amount or loan contribution that they made to your business to another business on the platform. So very much community-based lending in that regard, and excellent way to really build that borrowing potential. Because after a successful timely repayment period, you can come back to Kiva immediately and apply for additional capital, or you can provide that as an excellent example of a timely repayment period to a future funding source as you climb that capital ladder. That's a bit of the process. Here's a bit of some metrics and a bit of the impact so far with Kiva US. So let's say about 60% of borrowers were previously rejected from a loan, right? So this is that alternative space of lending, that first step on the capital ladder. Average loan amount is around $6,000 to $7,000. And a lot of different business sectors or industries can be really successful. We've had businesses from transportation to fashion to product-based to food, cafes, a food truck recently, even a theater business as well. So a lot of different industries can do really well in Kiva. And then this other map here on the right-hand side just kind of shows you the distribution of the different loan uses. A lot of it goes towards sometimes buying that piece of equipment. You know, that's a great way that Kiva provides this micro loan amount. If you're looking for $5,000 or $10,000 for that piece of equipment for your business, Kiva is an excellent option. Or it could go towards that working capital or marketing that we alluded to a little bit previously. All right. Now, I love to always provide a bit of testimonials, that firsthand account and narrative from some of our borrowers. On the left-hand side, this is Manvi, the owner of Terra Clay. It's an artisan goods product-based business. And if anyone asked her if they should apply for Kiva US loan, she'd say absolutely go for it. Manvi really appreciated that community-based lending component and the positive ripple effect. And Manvi is always a great example that I like to present, because on your profile page, you can also include a link to your website, a link to your social media platforms and accounts. So it's a wonderful marketing opportunity as well for your business to gain awareness and visibility. And I love also presenting Manvi as an example, because while it's not 100% guarantee, one of Manvi's Kiva lenders saw the website on her Kiva profile page, not only lent to the business, right, as they were fundraising, but also purchased one of their products. So it offers that opportunity, again, about the awareness and visibility you can bring to your business. And then on the right-hand side, this is Maya, the lead and director of Chicago Mobile Makers. Interestingly enough, Kiva offers their microloans to for-profit and nonprofit entities. So Chicago Mobile Maker is a nonprofit organization. And Maya was actually a repeat Kiva borrower. And she said the loan made a big difference and impact on the community that they serve. And she would recommend it to any nonprofit leaders as well. Okay. Now, our second loan product at the WBDC is our WBDC Direct Lending Program, where we offer loans to pre-venture up to $15,000, startups up to $25,000, and established businesses up to $50,000. The interest rate can range from 7% to 9%, and the term is anywhere from 3 months to 4 years, but all final terms are based on amounts and business stages. We really take a holistic approach and work closely with the business as another alternative source throughout the process. Another great testimonial from a recent borrower, again, to get that firsthand account and sort of story. This is Stacy Kohler, the founder and CEO of Kitty Crawler LLC and developer of Crawligator, which helps babies learn to crawl. And the loan that she received from the WBDC was used to purchase inventory. And since last year, the Crawligator has expanded its global sales in 22 countries. a little bit more on the direct lending program. This slide kind of takes you through a little bit of some eligibility requirements, but also a bit of guidelines that we look at, right? So we do look to see if there's been previous program participation, if you've participated in a cohort from the WBDC or another wonderful business support organization externally. We do only lend to businesses here in Illinois for our direct lending program, and we do make sure that the use of funds is under that eligible umbrella. We look for that positive net income and the capital deployment. So the time frame for the direct lending program is about 6 to 8 weeks. We do look to see that you're current on relevant licensing and registration and that you fall under an eligible industry. For our direct lending program, there isn't a minimum credit score requirement. However, we do require collateral to secure that direct loan. So collateral is an item of value pledged to secure a loan, perhaps a vehicle, commercial property, or business asset. And then we do look that there's no recent delinquencies and or defaults, and that 12 months of consecutive revenue is kind of our base. Okay. And if you have any additional questions about Kiva and the direct lending program, right, we offer the free one-on-one advising, talk a little bit more in depth about your business, your capital goals, where you're at currently as well. So definitely scan that QR code to make a free one-on-one advising appointment, and I'll put this in the chat as well. And in addition to the capital products, we also offer the services, that one-on-one coaching to help grow your business with a financial plan, right? Help you achieve those business goals by helping you understand the business financial acumen, right? Reading different financial statements to better manage your business, how to prepare financial projections, what does that month-by-month cash flow look like, and how to manage the inflow minus the expenses month by month, and how your position is at the end of the month as well. Additionally, capital preparation services. So if you are ready to have a discussion with a bank, you can work with us and we can support you in preparing the right documentation, preparing how to have that conversation with a banking institution or another lending source as well. And we directly connect you to other capital partners and lenders through our community of support too. Additional training and events are also offered, again, at no charge. Online on-demand training that you can take at your own pace, which is really wonderful. Templates and resources that we offer as well. And then through our cohorts, we really find it valuable that businesses are able to learn and network with one another, network with your peers, get to know one another from all kinds of different industries and have that learning exchange. And to go a little bit more into depth with that, for our Access to Capital department, we host a 6-week program called the Financial Bootcamp. So it's offered virtually 6 consecutive weeks, 2 hours each session on Zoom. And really the overall goal of this cohort is to increase your financial acumen and get comfortable with discussing the business narrative through your numbers, right? And by the end of the sessions, everyone should be able to walk away with an increased understanding of those general financial principles and what those numbers mean to the business and how can they inform you about the next steps you should take, whether that be kind of examining your expenses a little bit more, or you're ready for that loan, or maybe we should take a look at your cash flow a little bit more closely, or maybe there's ways to boost your credit too, right? So it's a really wonderful way to look at your numbers. The ideal candidate, right? So we look for business age 3 years or more, revenue of about $50,000. Employees could be 2 or more, and one of those can be you, the business owner. Status is working full-time in the business. And we have some of these parameters, and we are flexible in some regards, but we have some of these parameters so that you have perhaps a couple years of business tax returns or a balance sheet so that you can look at your documentation as an example and really apply the curriculum and concepts you learn from the class directly to your business and your numbers. So it's not as if we're looking at sort of an external case study. You are the case study. You're the business, And we want to make sure you are able to apply the concepts to your documentation, to your numbers. You look at it, right in front of you and match up, the terminology, the different ratios and formulas that we teach as well. So it's a really wonderful way to, again, walk away with a better understanding of what those finances mean to your business. We've had 2 cohorts right now, last year and then this spring in 2023. Currently still taking some applications for our summer one. It's going to be in July to August. And then we'll have another financial boot camp this year in the fall, starting in October. So I'll put some information in the chat as well if you're interested and would like to apply. But that also kind of leads me to just a bit of a conclusion. Our mantra for access to capital is finding the right capital at the right time and from the right source. So perhaps Kiva or direct lending program, maybe those aren't the products for you at that time, at this time. As I kind of alluded to earlier, like Allies for Community Business, an excellent partner that we work with, we can be a conduit to referring you to another entity, another wonderful alternative lending source, and be that conduit to getting you to that right source that works for your business and for your timeline currently. So that kind of concludes everything that I had today for our presentation, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Actually, Gabriella, I think we're going to be taking questions at the end.
Love it.
And I do want to say that Women's Business Development Center is a great organization. You do not have to be a woman, right?
Correct. Yes, exactly. We help everyone and everyone. Yes.
Also, the WBDC is well known for assisting people with certifications. If you're a woman-owned business, correct, or a minority-owned business. And I just want to reiterate what you said about Kiva, because a lot of times I have clients and they, for whatever reason, they've run into some hard times or whatever, they feel that nobody, they've reached the end of the rope. There's nobody they can turn to for funding. Whereas with Kiva, the people who are part of your network, they do get paid back. It's a 0% loan, correct? And it can be 1 to 3 years. So it really is a good opportunity to get that small start. Thank you very much, Gabriella. Another strong ally for community business is the Allies for Community Business. And Yesenia Diaz de Leon. We've known each other for a few years now. She's helped a number of my clients, as has the organization. And Yesenia, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Andrew. Good morning, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. So as Andrew said, I'm Yesenia Diaz de Leon. I am the Director of Community Lending at Allies for Community Business. So we are a nonprofit micro lender whose vision is that entrepreneurs from any background can start and grow businesses that create generational wealth for their families and communities. The way that we actually execute on this vision is through our day-to-day, right? So through our mission, which is to provide the capital, coaching, and connections that entrepreneurs need to grow these great businesses and create jobs and wealth in their communities. So I keep these 3 sort of offerings in mind, the capital, coaching, and connections, since I'll dive into each of them individually. To highlight a bit of our impact in the last couple of years, A4CB has dispersed a total of $693 million. This is in combination of both term loans, lines of credit, but also grants, since we have partnered with various entities on grant programming in the last couple of years. We've also coached 20,000 community businesses and funded a total of 30,000 community businesses, again, in combination of both our traditional in-house lending, but also various grant programs and other emergency programs that we had funded during the pandemic. On the capital front, we offer term loans and lines of credit anywhere between $500 on the small end up to $100,000 as our cap to early emerging and established businesses at what we consider to be very fair prices. As I had mentioned, we also frequently manage or administer grant programs with other partners who share in our mission which is again to provide the business owners that we're working with the dollars that they need to put to good use in their communities. To dive into a little bit more on our lending offerings, as I had mentioned, between $500 and $100,000, a few things that make us, I'd say, very different. I know our slide says it's a little different, but I do think it's quite different from a lot of our peers in the lending industry, is that we don't consider credit scores. That's not to say we don't run personal credit. That certainly does still come into play in our algorithm and final decision, but the score itself is not considered. We also do not place liens on personal assets, which means that we do not require collateral for any of our loans. We do place a blanket UCC lien on business assets, but don't require, again, that pledged collateral. So, homes, vehicles, etc. Instead, what we'll do is we'll evaluate how well you've managed your debts. And we're looking for basically a 2-year period, right? So in the last 24 months, some key criteria on your personal credit report to determine how much we're able to lend to you. And we're looking to understand how much cash you have available to make a monthly payment on a loan with us, to ensure that we're not placing anyone in a worse position by taking on capital. We can get to a loan approval in as little as 24 hours. I've seen it happen in less than 24 hours. It really depends on the size of loan that the entrepreneur is seeking, and the documents that we might require. So it can take a little longer. I would say our average turnaround time is about 2 weeks. Again, that's from application to funding. But we have built in a really robust algorithm to be able to get to a yes quickly. We charge a 9% interest. So again, very, very competitive in the lending industry right now, with a 1% closing fee. And our standard term is 2 years. Now that can be adjusted depending on use of funds, especially for things like perhaps a long-term asset acquisition. We can consider a different term, but most of our loans tend to be true working capital requests, and therefore the standard term is 24 months. We structure our loan options in 2 different ways. We can either offer a term loan or a line of credit, really depending on the client's needs and use of funds. So they are both in the same range, between $500 and $100,000. They're both offered at the same interest rate. The differences are essentially in the repayment structure, right? So our term loans are fixed terms, and you'll be making payments of both principal and interest. Those typically tend to be for things like leasehold improvements, long-term asset acquisitions, like a vehicle purchase. If you're a true startup, some of those startup expenses, perhaps marketing, whereas a line of credit is structured in a way where you're making interest-only payments for the first year, or I should say that the minimum payment required is interest only for the first year. You can certainly make additional payments or pay off sooner. And the typical uses for a line of credit are things like payroll. Maybe you're, in the construction industry and you have a project coming up. You need to purchase those materials or sales events, inventory, things like that. Our lines of credit are accessible to our clients for the first 12 months of the term, meaning you'll be able to draw on it, make payments, draw on it as needed for 12 months. On month 13, our clients are either able to reapply to have that extended, or it is termed out. So the balance on month 13 would be termed out for 24 months. So you'd be making, again, those principal and interest payments for 24 months, starting on month 13. We have various ways to try to get to a yes for all of our clients, really depending on the size of the loan that that the entrepreneur is requesting. Our process looks a little different, inclusive of the documents we might be requiring the client to upload into our system. So for anyone seeking a loan up to $25,000, the credit criteria that we're looking for, so recall the credit score does not come into play. However, we do have essentially 3 key data points or key criteria on the personal credit profile in the last 2 years. And those 3 are ensuring that in the last 24 months, there hasn't been a bankruptcy or non-medical collection or charge-off greater than $500. In addition, we're looking to ensure that the entrepreneur has made on-time payments on their open trade lines for the last 12 months, and that at the time of application, they have at least 25% availability on their revolving accounts to draw on. So essentially ensuring that we're not, maxed out on credit cards. So if you're seeking a loan up to $25,000 and you meet these 3 criteria, our system is able to give you a pre-approval on the spot of 1.5 times the largest monthly payment you've made over the last 12 months. Or I should say our payment will be 1.5 times the largest monthly payment you've made in the last 12 months, not including student loans. So to give an example of what that might look like, for the sake of simplicity in numbers, let's just say the largest monthly payment the entrepreneur has had on any account in the last year is a $100 payment on some debt that they have on their credit report. What that means is that our system would calculate a loan offer at which your monthly payment with us would be at $150, right? So it's looking at essentially being able to give a comparable offer to what the entrepreneur has demonstrated they've been able to repay in the past. Now, if that offer is less than what you're seeking, you can certainly choose to not accept it and instead provide some additional documentation for underwriting. So if we go to underwriting, that's essentially our step 2. So that second way to get to a yes. We'd be seeking either your last 3 years of personal and business tax returns, or 3 months of personal and business bank statements, or your year-to-date financials, and essentially running our various calculations on debt-to-income ratios, debt service coverage ratios, depending on the documents provided to determine at which thresholds we're able to get to a loan approval. So this step 2 is both for clients who choose not to accept perhaps a lower offer, or for clients who maybe had 1 slow pay, 1 or 2 slow pays in the last year. We're also able to move forward as a step 2 evaluation. So if you don't get that pre-approval, we can go through full underwriting. Our third way to try to get to a yes for our clients is our step 3/credit builder offering. So this is really meant for someone who is attempting to either build credit, rebuild credit, perhaps has some bruises on credit. So let's say, any outstanding collections greater than $500, maybe there was a recent bankruptcy in the last 2 years, or maybe there have been more than 3 slow pays on open trade lines. We still want to work with entrepreneurs who are trying to gain some access to capital and build a relationship with us. So we're able to make a loan offer anywhere between $500 and $2,500 as a cap for entrepreneurs who don't meet our credit criteria, so long as we're able to collect the last 3 months of business and personal bank statements and evaluate those average ending balances, right? Again, ensuring that we're not putting anyone in a worse off position by extending debt or approving for a loan at which that monthly payment is going to put a strain on the household or the business. So that's, again, our credit builder. These are all offered, again, at 9%. It doesn't matter the size of loan. I failed to mention we work with ITIN clients as well, so we don't require socials. So again, very, very flexible in terms of the way that we're trying to assist entrepreneurs in their growth. For those loan requests that are on the higher end, so up to $100,000, between $25,000 and $100,000, the credit criteria are exactly the same. So still ensuring that in the last 2 years, there hasn't been a bankruptcy or non-medical collection or charge off greater than $500. Looking for those on-time payments in the last year on the open trade lines, and 25% availability on the revolving accounts. The key difference here is that for those larger dollar requests, the entrepreneur would need to meet our credit criteria and also provide all 3 forms of financial documents. So whereas for those smaller dollar amounts, we can be a little flexible on either credit criteria or the documents that we're collecting from the entrepreneur. For the larger ones, we have to meet both credit criteria and also all of the financial criteria on all 3 sets of documents. As you'll notice, the tax returns are required here, which effectively means that for a true startup who isn't able to provide at least 1 year of taxes yet, our lending limit is at $25,000. So that was on capital. You might recall from that first slide, we also offer coaching. So our coaching is entirely free for any entrepreneur in Illinois or Indiana, since that is our coverage area for both lending and coaching. And it takes 2 forms. So it can either be individual one-on-one coaching with any business owner who wants to start or grow their business. These are all done via Calendly appointments with our coaching team. Or we can also offer group coaching. So there'll be online classes, different cohort programs. One example here is the Neighborhood Entrepreneurship Lab, which our coaching department runs. We actually just had a graduating class, I believe, from our NEL cohort program. So I highly encourage you all to check out our website for more info on NEL and other cohort or classes that we might offer via our coaching department. Some of the areas that you might see our coaches focusing on, depending on the stage of business, might be things like preparing to launch your business, perhaps establishing your business plan, your financial projections, even opening up a business bank account, applying for your EIN, things like that would fall under the early stage business. We also offer various free tools that our entrepreneurs can leverage as they're starting their business or growing their business to be able to manage it well. For emerging businesses, perhaps the coaching conversations can be around improving the financial management, preparing for growth. Maybe you're thinking of launching a new product or opening up a new site. Those are also conversations that you can have via one-on-one sessions with our business coaches to help you do that well and make sure that we're setting you up for success. For perhaps a more established business, some of the conversations can be around, planning for succession or acquisition, or maybe you're looking to attract investors. So again, various ways in which our coaching department can assist entrepreneurs. And once again, this is entirely free. On connections, so you all, again, would recall that very first slide, capital, coaching, connections. So connections takes different forms. One is on kitchen space. So we are located on the corner of Kedzie and Lake in East Garfield Park in a building called the Hatchery. So through the Hatchery, which is a food and beverage incubator space, we provide a wide range of services and networking opportunities really for food and beverage entrepreneurs at every stage of their business. So we have, restaurants looking for additional kitchen space. It might be a catering business or someone looking to expand or craft new products. We have lots of space available there for entrepreneurs in this industry. We also offer licensing assistance, so we can help secure the business licenses that you need to operate legally within the city of Chicago. And then finally, assistance with your various certifications entrepreneurs might be interested in obtaining. So if you're looking to get a women-owned business enterprise certification or a minority-owned business enterprise certification, we can also assist with that process. But not only assist with the process, also, leverage our partners, our institutional partners, to help secure those contracts to grow your business. So we have lots of relationships with various partners, especially on the west side. I mean, really throughout the city of Chicago, but a lot of partners on the west side. So we're leveraging those relationships to help secure contracts for our clients. This describes a little bit more of that kitchen space that I had mentioned at the hatchery. So again, really focused on food and beverage entrepreneurs with 54 private kitchens, 5 shared kitchens, tons of storage, loading docks, meeting spaces, etc., that those clients might need to operate their business. In addition, also through at the hatchery, we're offering training with chefs through Impact Culinary Institute, which is a 12-week training program for aspiring young chefs. They are offered paid internships at various Chicagoland locations. We do want to be, or we are being really intentional about promoting local West Side entrepreneurs as well. So we have neighborhood markets, both indoor and outdoor, depending on season, really meant to showcase products of West Side entrepreneurs. So I highly encourage y'all to check one of those out. There's usually a good mix of, food businesses, artisan businesses, all different entrepreneurs that you can support that way. And then finally, job preparation in partnership with ICNC. So that includes adult training and job placement programs. Once again, support for West Side employers, and then business advice on hiring. On licensing and procurement. So again, this kind of falls within both coaching, but also our connections. So we are one of the 8 Chicago business centers that can assist with securing those licenses to operate within the city of Chicago. And as I had mentioned before, also assisting entrepreneurs who might be interested in certifications and helping leverage our partners for those contracts. That brings me to the end of our presentation. So these are various links of how you can either connect with us, connect with a coach, refer an entrepreneur that you might know can benefit from our services, or support our mission.
Great. Thank you so much to all the presenters. If anyone has any questions, if they could please put them in the chat. If anyone has any questions, we'll give you a minute or two. Lots of links going in the chat for the attendees, which is great. Thank you so much, presenters, for doing that. I think they're still digesting all this great information. They're going to be applying for everything, guys. You're good. We'll give it another minute, see if there's anything that comes in.
I just wanted to say, Geraldine, I want to encourage everyone to reach out to the neighborhood business development centers and the other resources, the Women's Business Development Center, allies. Even if you just want to have an initial conversation without actually applying for something to find out what product might be best for you. Would you agree with that, Yesenia? You guys are fine with, right? Just having an initial conversation to see where you are in your business and what's the best way to move forward.
Yeah, definitely. And we do have sort of Calendly links, right? So we always are having initial conversations with applicants or clients who are interested in applying to understand their business and be able to direct them appropriately.
Likewise, we help businesses, even if you're just having a bit of an idea in the beginning, and you wanted to test the feasibility of that and get some feedback.
that kind of thing.
Early stage.
We did just have a question come in to Yesenia. For new businesses with no taxes filed yet, what is required to get assistance? It's for a transportation company.
Yeah, that's a great question. So if we don't have taxes yet, effectively we are capped at $25,000 as our lending limit, because if you might recall from our presentation, anything above that does require full underwriting inclusive of taxes. So what we collect then are bank statements. So we would be looking at your 3 most recent personal bank statements and 3 most recent business bank statements. That's true of any business that doesn't have taxes filed yet if they're relatively new.
Great, thank you. People are asking for the slides. This webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on BACP's YouTube page. A new question for the hatchery. Are there private kitchen lease rates available online? Where can we review layouts or do we have to visit in person?
That's a great question. So we do have, I'll share my info in the chat because I would like to direct you to the hatchery directly, since A4CB and the hatchery work very closely together. We are 2 different entities. So I'll share my info just so that I'm not giving any misinformation on layout, pricing, any of that stuff.
Great, thank you for that. Can you send me the link to make an application, and what is the date limit for submit the application? I'm not sure which one they're speaking about, but
so I can certainly drop a link to our online application in the chat. There
Okay.
is no time limit on when you can apply.
Great, thank you.
And I put in the chat just a few links, one of them being access to capital referral form. So if you're interested in applying for Kiva, applying for direct lending, fill that out as a business owner. First question will ask you to kind of differentiate yourself, and you can put your contact info and fill out that form. And then I'm a team, 1 of 4 on our access to capital team. So we will reach out to you and connect with you and see, what the best form of capital is for you and invite you to apply. You're an ideal candidate.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? We'll give it another minute. Lots of great presentations coming in, lots of great information. Thank you, thank you.
I did see a follow-up question from, I believe it's Tanisha, regarding the business bank statement. So if you don't have a business bank statement, we would collect your personal bank statements and evaluate your DTI that way. I will say that we require a business bank account to be established before funding. So we can certainly, talk about that when we get there, but for funding purposes, we do have to fund to a business bank account.
Perfect, thank you. Another great information, thank you. Awesome, thanks. All right, you guys are getting like rave reviews here. So I think that is all the questions. I want to thank all of our presenters. I want to thank our attendees for coming on, and I hope you got some great information today. Again, this will be posted at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Wishing everyone a great and safe and happy weekend. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Geraldine, for having us, and thank you to BACP. Bye-bye.